If you're tired of battles with yourself, buddy, change your mind. All right, we're going back into cloud security solutions. Describe some key considerations that should be made when hosting data or systems via cloud solutions provider. Who has access to your cloud? Like what? Integrate auditing and monitoring procedures and systems with on-premises detection. Identify responsibility for implementing security controls such as patching or backup. Identify performance metrics in an SLA and assess risks to privacy and confidentiality from breaches at service provider. No, I didn't get that right at all. True or false? The account with which you register for the CSP services is not an account with privileges. That's true, because you're not going to get root privileges for the server. Oh, it's false. Okay. False. This account is the root account and has full privileges. It should not be used for day-to-day administration or configuration. So no, I did not get that right. Which security attribute is ensured by monitoring API latency and correcting any problems? Oh, hello. Hello. All right. Ensures the availability of services. Yeah, no, I didn't get that right at all. What format is often used to write permissions statements for cloud resource policies? JavaScript object notation. No, I did not get that right. True or false? A customer is limited to creating one VPC per account. I'm going to say false. There are limits to the number of virtual private clouds that can be created, but more than one is allowed. Yeah, I got that one right. It's called 50-50-90. 50%, you got like true or false. It's like a one or the other. And then you get it wrong 90% of the time. That's what they would say in the Navy all the time. 50-50-90. What feature allows you to filter traffic arriving at an instance? A firewall? This is accomplished by assigning the instance to a security group with relevant policy configured. Okay, no, I did not get that right. What is a cloud access security broker? A company that provides security for the cloud. Enterprise management software mediating access to cloud services by users to enforce information and access policies and audit usage. Kind of? Not really? All right. Summarize infrastructure as code concepts. Coupled with the use of virtualization in the cloud is the idea of continuous delivery models for automation and service integration. These technologies can be used together to deliver an infrastructure as code model of provisioning networks and hosts to support application services. Services integration and microservices. In the early days of computer networks, architecture was focused on the provision of server machines and intermediate network systems, switches, and routers. Architectural choices centered around where to place a box to run monolithic network applications such as routing, security, address allocation, name resolution, file sharing, email, and so on. With virtualization, the provision of these applications is much less dependent on where you put the box and the OS that the box runs. Virtualization helps to make the design architecture fit to the business requirement rather than accommodate the business workflow to the platform requirement. Service-oriented architecture. Service-oriented architecture conceives of atomic services closely mapped to business workflows. Each service takes defined inputs and procedures, defined outputs, and produces procedures. Wow. I have dyslexia, apparently, really bad. Procedures, defined outputs. The service may itself be composed of subservices. The key features of a service function are that it is self-contained, does not rely on the state of other services, and exposes clear input-output interfaces. because each service has a simple interface. Interoperability is made much easier than with a complex monolithic application. The implementation of a service does not constrain compatibility choices for client services, which can use a different platform or development language. This independence of the service and the client requesting the service is referred to as loose coupling. Microservices. Microservice-based development shares many similarities with agile software project management and the process of continuous delivery and deployment. It also shares roots with the Unix philosophy that each programmer tool should be one thing well. Do one thing well. Be one thing well. Woo! Main difference between SOA and microservices is that SOA allows a service to be built from other services. By contrast, each microservice should be capable of being developed, tested, and deployed independently. The microservices are said to be highly decoupled rather than just loosely decoupled. All right. Services integration orchestration. Services integration refers to ways of making these decoupled service or microservice components work together to perform a workflow, where SOA use the concept of an enterprise service bus, microservices integration, and cloud services virtualization, automation, integration generally is very often implemented using orchestration tools. Where automation focuses on making a single discrete task easily repeatable, orchestration performs a sequence of automated tasks. Because like automation is very robotic. Orchestration, there is a giant orchestra of violin, cello, bass, viola, performing a masterpiece. That's why. Kind of feel like I should play that right now while I'm listening to, or while I'm reading the orchestration, because it feels very eloquent. Let's see. You gotta sound pompous. Chicago Symphony Orchestra, Ricardo Muti. I don't know what that means. I'm guessing mute Ricardo, but I don't know. Oh, that's his name. That's the dude's name. There you go. I wanted to do something nice and light though, because Flight of the Valkyrie right now just a little too much. So performs a sequence of automated tasks. For example, you might orchestrate adding a new VM to a load balance cluster. This end-to-end process might include provisioning the VM, configuring it, adding the new VM to the load balancer, balance cluster, and reconfiguring the load balancing weight distribution given the new cluster configuration. In doing this, the orchestrated steps would have to run numerous automated scripts or API service calls. For orchestra to work properly, automated steps must occur in the right sequence. Taking dependencies into account, it must provide the right security credentials at every step along the way. And it must have the rights and permissions to perform the defined tasks. Orchestration can automate processes that are complex, requiring dozens or hundreds of manual steps. So if we listen to the music of orchestra, it's very complex and requires dozens or hundreds of manual people to. No, I'm just kidding. It's a bit of a stretch there. I would say dozens. I wouldn't say hundreds though. I'd say like 800 for music. orchestration. All right. Cloud orchestration platforms connect to and provide administration, management, and orchestration for many popular cloud platforms and services. One of the advantages of using a third-party orchestration platform is protection from vendor lock-in. If you wish to mitigate from one cloud provider to another or wish to move to a multi-cloud environment, automated workflows can often be adapted for use on new platforms. Industry leaders in this space include Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and Ansible, and Kubernetes. All right. Application programming interfaces, whether based SOA or microservices, service integration, automation, and orchestration all depend on application program interfaces. The service API is the means by which external entities interact with the service, calling it with expected parameters and receiving the expected output. These are two predominant styles for creating web application APIs. Simple Object Access Protocol uses XML format messaging and has a number of extensions in the form of web services, standards, and support common features, such as authentication, transport security, and asynchronous messaging. Why are you bugging me right now? Do not bug me. I am in the middle of something. I do like Oakley's, though. Not gonna lie. The Millframe 2.0s are really nice. Because literally, all it is, it's a lens and the frame, right? Like most. But frame, super light. Doesn't hurt my head when I put it on. And the lenses themselves supposedly can help with bullets. Everything's replaceable. Not that it's bulletproof, right? It's protection eyewear. So it's nice. I like them. They're fun. They're fun to play with. The nose guards, though, I have noticed sometimes they get a little worn out, and so you just replace the nose guards occasionally. I have replaced the lens as well because I scratched it. I think it was actually from a bullet case coming at my glasses, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't know exactly what happened to it. It just had a scratch one day, and I was like, well, that is a bummer. All right. So we're going back to Simple Object Access Protocol, which uses XML format messaging and has a number of extensions in the form of web services, standards that support common features such as authentication, transport security, and asynchronous messaging. SOAP also has a built-in error handling. I'm going to get me a water real quick. Boop, doop, boop, doop, boop. All right, representational state transfer, REST. Where SOAP is a tightly specified protocol, REST is a looser architectural framework, also referred to as RESTful APIs, where a SOAP request must be sent as a correctly formatted XML document. A REST request can be submitted as an HTTP operation, verb, get or post, for example. You think the security on that would be a little bit lacking then, because it's HTTP. Each resource or endpoint in the API expresses a noun should be accessed via a single URL. Serverless architecture. Whoa. So serverless is a modern design pattern for service delivery. It is strongly associated with modern web applications, most notably Netflix. I didn't know that. But providers are appearing with products to completely replace the concept of the corporate LAN. With serverless, all the architecture is hosted within a cloud, but unlike traditional virtual private cloud offerings, services such as authentication, web applications, and communications aren't developed and managed as applications running on VM instances located within the cloud. Instead, the applications are developed as functions and microservices, each interacting with other functions to facilitate client requests. When the client requires some operation to be processed, the cloud spins up a container to run the code, performing the processes, and then destroys the container. Billing is based on execution time rather than hourly charges. This type of service provision is also called function as a service. FaaS products include AWS Lambda, Google Cloud Functions, and Microsoft Azure Functions. The serverless paradigm eliminates the need to manage physical or virtual server instances, so there is no management effort for software patches, administration privileges, or file system security monitoring. There is no requirement to provision multiple servers for redundancy or load balancing, as all the process is taking place within the cloud. There's a little emphasis on the provision of a corporate network. Its underlying architecture is managed by the service provider, the principal network security job, to ensure that the clients accessing the servers have not been compromised in a way that allows a malicious actor to impersonate a legitimate user. This is a particularly important consideration for the developer accounts and devices used to update the application code underpinning the services. Man, that's weird. These workstations must be fully locked down, running no other applications or web code than those necessary for development. Serverless does have considerable risks, as a new paradigm uses cases and best practices are not mature, especially as regards security. There is also a critical, unavoidable dependency on the service provider with limited options for disaster recovery should that service provision fail. Serverless architecture depends heavily on the concept of event-driven orchestration. So sorry, guys. What's going on? All right, everybody's bugging me today about stuff. For example, when a client connects to an application, multiple services will be called to authenticate the user and device, identify the device location and address properties, create a session, load authorizations for the action, use application logic to process the action, read or commit information from a database, and write a log of the transaction. This design logic is different from applications written to run in a monolithic server-based environment. This means that adapting existing corporate software will require substantial development effort. Let's see, infrastructure as code. The use of cloud technologies encourages the use of scripted approaches to provisioning. Rather than manually making configuration changes or installing patches, an approach to infrastructure management where automation and orchestration fully replace manual configuration is referred to as infrastructure as code. One of the goals of infrastructure as code is to eliminate snowflake systems. A snowflake is a configuration or build that is different from any other. The lack of consistency or drift in the platform environment leads to security issues such as patches that have not been installed and stability issues such as scripts that fail to run because of some small configuration difference. By rejecting manual configuration of any kind, infrastructure as code ensures idempotence. What the frick? I think they just make up words in this. Let me see. Idempotence. Okay, can you say it? Can somebody say it for me, please? There's a video of it. Okay, you say it. Oh my gosh, you are not a video. I want a video. Holy cow, that was loud.
Idempotence.
Idempotence.
There's no real way to make that sound exciting. This is a quick hits video on idempotency of cows and REST APIs.
Okay. Idempotence means that making the same call with the same parameters will always produce the same result. Note that infrastructure as code is not simply a matter of using scripts to create instances. Running scripts that have been written ad hoc is just as likely to cause environment drift as manual configuration. Infrastructure as code means using carefully developed and tested scripts and orchestration runbooks to generate consistent builds. Okay, then. Hooray! But yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but when you pass something on this course, they give you a nice little credly.com badge that you can display proudly on your LinkedIn. Hooray, I passed CND ACE exam. It was rough though. It's so much information in 2 weeks, and then they're just like, oh hey, like take this test. And I'm like, okay. And it literally goes over everything, and it's kind of hard to recall everything. But I did it on one. I didn't do it on Security Plus though. It was rough. But what's great about this, I don't really care about the badge. The badge is just an image thing on LinkedIn. But what's really nice is the fact that it goes towards your bachelor undergraduate. So you get college credit taking these courses if you pass the ACE exam, which I am trying to figure out how to transfer that. But yeah, idempotence. All right, software-defined networking. Infrastructure as code is partly facilitated by physical and virtual network appliances that are fully configurable via scripting and APIs. As networks become more complex, perhaps involving thousands of physical and virtual computers and appliances, it becomes more difficult to implement network policies such as ensuring security and managing traffic flow. With so many devices to configure, it is better to take a step back and consider an abstracted model about how the network functions. In this model, network functions can be divided into 3 planes. So there's the control plane, make decisions about how traffic should be prioritized and secured, where it should be switched. Data plane handles the actual switching and routing of traffic and imposition of security access controls. Management plane monitors traffic conditions and network status. A software-defined network application can be used to define policy decisions on the control plane. These decisions are then implemented on the data plane by a network controller application, which interfaces with the network devices using APIs. The interface between the SDN applications and the SDN controller is described as the northbound API, while that between the controller and appliances is the southbound API. SDN can be used to manage compatible physical appliances, but also virtual switches, routers, and firewalls. The architecture supporting rapid deployment of virtual networking using general purpose VMs and containers is called network functions virtualization. This architecture saves network and security administrators the job and complexity of configuring each appliance with proper settings to enforce the desired policy. Oh, dude, that's so true. I'm sorry, guys. I was just looking at this on LinkedIn. So one thing the Navy taught me, anything can be a bed. Oh my gosh. Dude, that is so true. There was this one on Facebook, and it was a meme, and it was like, which of these have you done? And it's like, where have you slept in the Navy? And like, there's like a picture of a dude next to a diesel, a really giant diesel generator, and he's sleeping, and it's running. Like, you can tell it's running because of the vibrations and stuff. And I was like, dude, that's so me. You learn in the Navy to sleep practically anywhere. I slept one time on top of a toolbox. that's how tired I was one day. It's like, man, I'm so tired right now. And I slept on top of the toolbox. And I remember one of the guys getting me and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I'm freaking tired, okay? Like, everybody in the military learns how to get sleep somehow. Like, they keep you up so long, and then you're just like, dude, I'm just gonna go to sleep on top of this rock. And you sleep on it, and it's the best sleep you'll ever have when you're in the military. I swear. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I digress. I just saw that and I just was like, dude, that was me in the Navy. So I love that. I didn't love the military. Like, that's why I got out. But I just love that meme in that aspect of sleeping anywhere. All right, sorry guys, I'm getting so distracted. Okay. It also allows for fully automated deployment or provisioning of network links, appliances, and servers. This makes SDN an important part of the latest automation and orchestration technologies. Done and done. Software-defined visibility. Where SDN addresses secure network build solutions, software-defined visibility supports assessment and incident response functions. Visibility is the near real-time collection, aggregation, and reporting of data about network traffic flows and the configuration and status of all the host's applications and user accounts participating in it. SDV can help the security data collection process by gathering statistics from the forwarding systems and then applying a classification scheme to those systems to detect network traffic that deviates from baseline levels. This can provide you with a more robust ability to determine anomalies that may suggest an incident. SDV, therefore, gives you a high-level perspective of network flow and endpoint user account behavior that may not be possible with traditional appliances. SDV supports designs such as Zero Trust and East-West, plus implementation of security orchestration and automation response. Oh, I forgot to do something. Yeah, dude, like everybody is bugging me about something today. It's like, dude, chillax, peoples. Oh, go Volvo and their emergency brake systems. That's whoa. All right, I gotta go to the restroom real quick, guys. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the next page. That way, if you want to read it, you can. But I need to use the restroom. I shall return. It happens. It happens. All right. So we're looking at fog and edge computing. Most of the cloud services we have considered so far are user-facing. They support applications that humans and users interact with, such as video streaming. Hey, that's what I'm doing right now. That's what you're watching right now, video streaming. CRM, business analytics, email and conferencing, endpoint protection analytics, and so on. However, a very large and increasing amount of cloud data processing takes place with data generated by Internet of Things devices and sensors. So remember, Internet of Things is your refrigerator that has a tablet on it, or your smartwatch, or you name it. Pretty much anything nowadays is Internet of Things. Industrial processes and even home automation are availability focused. Wow. While confidentiality and integrity are still important concerns, service interruption in an operational and technology network can be physically dangerous. Yes. If somebody hacks into your pacemaker and stops your heart, that is bad because you die. Consequently, there is a strong requirement to retrieve and analyze Internet of Things data with low latency. Man, we want the speed, but we want the security too. Well, good luck, you know. Traditional data center architecture does not meet this requirement very well. Sensors are quite likely to have relatively low bandwidth, higher latency when links to data networks. Sensors may generate huge quantities of data, only a selection of which needs to be prioritized for analysis. Fog computing, developed by Cisco, addresses these requirements by placing fog node processing resources close to the physical location for the Internet of Things sensor. Sensors communicate with the fog node using Wi-Fi, Zigbee, or 4G, 5G, and the fog node prioritizes traffic, analyzes and remediates alertable conditions, and backhauls remaining data to the data center for storage and low priority analysis. Edge computing, it is a broader concept, partially developed from fog computing and partially evolved in parallel to it. Fog computing is now seen as working within the concept of edge computing. Edge computing uses the following concepts. Edge devices are those that collect and depend upon data for their operation. For example, a thermometer in an HVAC system collects temperature data. The controller in an HVAC system activates the electromechanical components to turn the heating or air conditioning on or off in response to ambient temperature changes. The impact of latency becomes apparent when you consider edge devices such as self-driving automobiles. Yeah, Elon Musk's cars take a turn. Too early or too late. Yikes. Edge gateways perform some preprocessing of data to and from edge devices to enable prioritization. They also perform the wired or wireless connectivity to transfer data to and from the storage and processing networks. Fog nodes can be incorporated as a data processing layer positioned close to the edge gateways, assisting in prioritization of critical data transmission. The cloud or data center layer provides the main storage and processing resources plus distribution and aggregation of data between sites. In security terms, the fog node or edge gateway layers represent high-value targets for both denial of service and data exfiltration attacks. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine somebody doing a denial of service attack on your car while it's driving, self-driving? Whoa. Yeah, talk about terrifying. The controversy over the use of Huawei's equipment in 5G and edge networks illustrates the risk and concerns over supply chains and trusted computing. Yeah, that was a really big deal. I think last year or the year before that. All right, a company has been using a custom-developed client-server application for customer management access from remote sites over VPN. Rapid overseas growth has led to numerous complaints from employees that the system suffers many outages and cannot cope with the increased number of users and access by client devices, such as smartphones. What type of architecture could produce a solution that is more scalable? The edge gateway? Microservices. Okay. Microservices is a suitable architecture for replacing monolithic client-server applications that do not meet the needs of geographically diverse mobile workforces by breaking the application up into microservice components and hosting these in cloud containers. Performance can scale to demand. Web-based APIs are better suited to browser-based access on different device types. So I did not get that right. You've been asked to produce a summary of pros and cons for the products Chef and Puppet. What type of virtualization or cloud computing technology do these support? The APIs, orchestrational tools. Oh my gosh. Orchestrational tools facilitate automation of automation, ensuring the scripts and API calls are made in the right order and at the right time to support an overall workflow. True or false? Serverless means running computer code on embedded systems. False. With serverless, the provision of functions running in containers is abstracted from the underlying server hardware. Point is that as a consumer, you do not perform any server management. Servers are still present, but they are operated and maintained by the cloud service provider. This would have been a better explanation of serverless at the chapter than the way they described it. So I kind of feel like they should put this in the chapter. But that's just me. All right. I got that one right. A company's web services are suffering performance issues because updates keep failing to run on certain systems. What type of architecture could address this issue? A edge gateway? Infrastructure as code means that provisioning is performed entirely from standard scripts and configuration data. The absence of manual configuration adjustments or ad hoc scripts change settings is designed to eliminate configuration drift so that updates run consistently between the development and production environments. Yeah, no, I didn't get that right at all. SDV. That's virtualization. Oh my gosh, I should remember this. Simulated diverse virtualization? No, software defined. Oh, okay. Software defined visibility gives API-based access. Like, oh, hey, what's this acronym? I don't know. There's like 5 different acronyms that you have. Let me see. Google. SDV. Yeah, it's a sealed delivery vehicle, guys. Come on. SDV is software-defined visibility, gives API-based access to network infrastructure and hosts so that configuration and state data can be reported in near real time. This facilitates greater automation in models and technologies such as zero trust, inspection of east-west data center traffic, and use of security orchestration on automated response tools. Yeah, no, I didn't get that right at all. Look at me go. Okay, so an engineer utilizes infrastructure as code to deploy and manage a network. When considering an abstract model that represents network functionality, how does the engineer make control decisions? I want to say it's B. Boom. When using an abstract model, the engineer can divide the network functions into 3 planes. The control plane, which makes decisions about how to prioritize and secure traffic, as well as where to switch it. Nice. A software-defined networking application can manage the aspects of all planes. In the abstract model, SDN can manage compatible physical appliances, but also virtual switches, routers, and firewalls. Management plane monitors traffic conditions and the overall network status. The data plane handles the actual switching and routing of traffic and the imposition of security access controls. Moving on with my life. So, security professionals looking to harden systems at an industrial facility. In particular, the security specialist needs to secure an HVAC system that is part of an IoT network. Which area does the specialist look to secure from data exfiltration exploits? The edge gateway, edge devices, and the fog node. Really? Just fog node and edge gateway. Okay. A security specialist can incorporate fog nodes as a data processing layer positioned close to edge gateways, assisting the prioritization of critical data transmission. Fog nodes are high-value targets for both denial of service and data exfiltration attacks. Edge gateways perform some pre-processing of data to and from devices to enable prioritization. They also perform the wired or wireless connectivity to transfer data to and from the storage and processing networks. Edge gateways are high-value targets to exploit. Edge devices collect and depend upon data for their operation. For example, a thermometer and HVAC system collects temperature data. The cloud or data center provides the main storage and processing resources plus distribution and aggregation of data. Okay, next question. You know what's weird? So on your visualization, you guys can see the colors better. You can see the note card lines. In my screen, it doesn't show that stuff. I'm wondering if my resolution is like high or the color is off or something. I know I have on my gaming settings, and maybe that's what's affecting it, but it's just the weirdest thing. So like I look over and like I see the note card lines, or I see the colors that like say, hey, this is wrong, but it's really cool and weird at the same time. Just be like, man. An organization plans a move of systems to the cloud. In order to identify and assign areas of risk, which solution does the organization establish to contractually specify cloud service provider responsibilities? Well, which it's like I like trust relationship for this, but the service level agreement should say where it specifies cloud. So I'm going with this. Boom. Look at that. Got it right. I'm smart. I am smart. SMRT. I am smart. A little bit of Patrick for you guys today. So it is imperative to identify precisely which risks are transferring to the cloud, which risks the service provider is undertaking, and which risks remain with the organization. A service level agreement outlines those risks and responsibilities. A trust relationship simply defines a relationship with the cloud service provider The more important the service is to a business, the more risk the business invests in that trust relationship. A responsibility matrix is a good way to identify what risks exist, who is responsible for them. The matrix can be part of an SLA. The matrix. Dude, that's where the matrix at. High availability is an approach to keep systems functionality at a constant. So, a company conducts file sharing via a hosted private cloud deployment model. Which scenario accurately depicts this type of file sharing? Cloud hosted by a third party for the exclusive use of the organization. A cloud hosted by a third party and shared with other subscribers. So file sharing via hosted private cloud deployment. A cloud that is completely private to and owned by the company that usually utilizes it. A cloud where several organizations share the cost of a cloud in order to pool resources for a common concern. I'd say cloud hosted by a third party and shared with other subscribers. It was the first one. Bummer. Okay. So third party hosts a hosted private cloud deployment model for the exclusive use of the organization. The service is more secure and provides guaranteed performance, but it is more costly than the other options. A third party hosts a public cloud deployment model and shares it with other subscribers. This is the most known form of cloud computing and is the least secure. So we're trying to go most secure. Private cloud is completely private to and owned by the company that uses it. This is geared towards companies and services that require strict control, such as banking or government entities. Several organizations use a community cloud that shares the costs of either a hosted private or fully private cloud. This is usually done in order to pool resources for common concerns, such as standardization and security policies. Be right back, guys. All right, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I've just been drinking way too much water right now. All right. So, the company has recently started using a platform as a service. Compare cloud service types to determine what is being deployed. The company has recently started using platform as a service. So I'm going with the company has leased servers and a storage area network. What? Crap. So platform as a service provides resources somewhere between SaaS and IaaS. Typical PaaS solution would provide servers and storage network infrastructure as per IaaS, but also provide a multi-tier web application database platform on top. IaaS is a means of performing resources such as servers, load balancers, and storage area networks components quickly. SaaS is a different model of provisioning software applications. Rather than purchasing a software license for a given number of seats, a business can access software hosted on a supplier server and a pay-as-you-go or lease arrangement. Managed security services provider is a means of fully outsourcing responsibility for information assurance to a third party. A system administrator deploys a cloud access security broker solution for user access to cloud services. Evaluate the options and determine which solution may be configured at the network edge without modifying a user systems. All right, that's just some. Reverse proxy. Yes. Oh, I think that. Sorry. Okay. All right. A reverse proxy positioned at the cloud network edge directs traffic to cloud services if the content of that traffic comply with the policy. This does not require configuration of users' devices. Yeah, so single sign-on authentication enforcing access controls and authorizations from the enterprise network to the cloud provider is a feature of a CASB. Rather than placing a CASB appliance or host in line with cloud consumers and the cloud services and API-based CASB brokers, connections between the cloud service and the cloud consumer, a forward proxy is a security appliance or host positioned at the client network edge that forwards your user traffic to the cloud network if contents of that traffic comply with policy. This requires configuration of user devices. All right. A security team suspects the unauthorized use of an application programming interface to a private web-based service. Which metrics do the teams analyze and compare to a baseline for response times and usage rates while investigating suspected DDoS attacks? Number of requests, error rates, latency. Yes. So the number of requests is a basic load metric that counts the number of requests per second or requests per minute. Depending on the service type, admin can set a baseline for typical usage. Latency is the time in milliseconds taken for the service to respond to an API call. This can be measured for specific services or as an aggregate value across all services. Error rates measure the number of errors as a percentage of total calls, usually classifying error types under category headings. Admin can manage unauthorized and suspicious endpoint connections to the API in the same sort of way as remote access. A large sales organization uses the cloud solution to store large amounts of data. One afternoon, the data becomes inaccessible due to an outage at the data center. Which replication service level is currently in use? Sounds like a local. Regional? I'm going to go with regional. Oh, it was local. Dang it. Should have gone with my first one. A local replication solution replicates data within a single data center in the region that created the storage account. If the data center experiences an outage, so do all of the replicated copies. A regional replication solution, also called zone redundant, replicates data across multiple data centers within one or two regions. Geo-redundant storage, GRS solution, replicates data to a second region that is distant from the primary region. Cross-country or around the globe are other terms for this type of solution. Man, everybody's finally reacting to something I posted like 18 hours ago. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Okay. A zone is a portion of a region that performs replication. When provisioning application services in a network architecture, an engineer uses a microservices approach as a solution. Which description best fits the engineer's implementation? Boom. Yeah, I was like, that last one just makes so much sense for microservices. So microservice-based development uses a philosophy that each programmer tool should do one thing. You have one job with microservices. All right, just always think that. That's what I was thinking. I was like, you have one job. You had one job. All right, anyways. Each microservice should be capable of developing, testing, and deploying independently and said to be highly decoupled rather than just loosely decoupled. Service-oriented architecture conceives of atomic services closely mapped to business workflows. Each service takes defined inputs and produces defined outputs. Service integration refers to ways of making these decoupled services or microservice components work together to perform a workflow. Orchestration performs a sequence of automated tasks. Orchestrated steps run numerous automated scripts or API service calls. Analyze and select the accurate statements about threats associated with virtualization. Excuse me. Virtualizing switches and routers with hypervisors make virtualization more secure. VM escaping occurs as a result of malware jumping from one guest OS to another. Timing attack occurs by sending multiple usernames to an authentication server to measure service response times. VMs providing front-end middleware and back-end servers should remain together to reduce security implications of a VM escaping attack. I want to say these two. Boom. Look at that. Yeah. A virtual machine escaping refers to malware running on a guest operating system jumping to another guest or to the host. A timing attack occurs by sending multiple usernames to an authentication server and measuring the server's response times. Hypervisors are a common target of attacks and become more complex when the network infrastructure, such as switches and routers, is also virtualized. When the network infrastructure is implemented in software, it may not be subject to inspection and troubleshooting by system administrators. VMs providing front-end, middleware, and back-end services should be separated to different physical hosts. This reduces the security implications of a VM escaping attack on a host in the demilitarized zone. A startup designs a new online service and uses a serverless approach for some business functions. With this approach, how does the startup perform these functions? Ooh, that's tough, man. I want to say virtual machines, containers, and orchestration. Oh, no virtual machines. Okay. Containers and orchestration was it. When an operation needs processing by using a container, the cloud spins up the container to run the code. perform the processing, and then destroys the container. A virtual machine is a full-fledged operating system that runs in a virtual environment and considered a server, not serverless. Okay. Serverless refers to creating and using containers. When needed, a single service would provide a specific output. Many services require working together in a serverless environment. Serverless architecture depends heavily on the concept of event-driven orchestration, with many services involved to facilitate operations. A systems administrator configures several subnets within a virtual private cloud. The VPC has an internet gateway attached to it. However, the subnets remain private. What does the administrator do to make the subnets public? I think a VPN between VPCs, but he's trying to make it public. Create a VPC for each subnet. Oh, but the subnets remain private, so I would say create a VPN. Oh, no? Configure a default route for each subnet. Okay. Administrator must configure the internet gateway as the default route for each public subnet. If the administrator does not configure a default route, the subnet remains private, even if the VPC has an internet gateway attached to it. Connections to other services such as storage or services running in other VPCs are possible with VPC endpoint configurations. While VPCs remain private from each other, the admin can create a CSP managed feature or a VPN to connect the VPCs and VPNs. Multiple VPCs are not required. A VPC is an isolated virtual cloud that can contain many subnets. What actions are typically recommended when securing virtualized and cloud-based resources? I like that one. Oh, sorry guys. Virtual machine software hosts and guest operating systems should be patched on regular intervals. Regular patching provides fixes for identified vulnerabilities. Okay, so if you do have a VM, you want to update it. So what I normally do, right, on my Oracle box, Oracle VirtualBox VM, there's this nice little, if I can get it to go, haha, I win. So what we do often is we go to here, check for updates, right? You're already running the most recent version of VirtualBox. Good job. And then also on these two guys, update. So usually you have to go in and type in a command on Kali. And it's a update command, and it will get everything. I would like to show you right now, but kind of takes a while, and I need to finish this exam. It's timed just a little bit, even though I did run to the bathroom earlier. Also, I don't remember the command that you want to give to Kali to do that. But yeah, basically update all the time. Updates. Or else you're setting yourself up for failure. For failure. Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't ignore anybody like I did last time. That was funny. Oh. Got to stretch it out, man. Love stretching. Stretching is important, man. I love also cracking my back. Let me see if I can do that right now. So. No. Crack my shoulder. I feel like I'm about to break this chair. I'm just going to rip it. All right. So, developer considers using an API for service integration and automation. If choosing representational state transfer REST as the API, which features can the developer expect? Select all that apply. So REST is the ability to submit requests as a HTTP operational verb. It's a looser architectural framework. These two, no. So XML format is for SOAR. So requests sent as simple object access protocol. Oh, SOAP. My bad. Must be in correctly formatted XML document. However, with representational state transfer REST requests, they can be submitted as an HTTP operation verb, get, or post, for example. Representational state transfer is a looser architectural framework, also referred to as RESTful APIs. SOAP is a tightly specified protocol. Simple object access protocol uses XML format messaging and has a number of extensions in the form of web services standards. Simple object access protocol also has built-in error handling and supports common features such as authentication, transport security, and asynchronous messaging. A company has many employees that work from home. The employees obtain data and post data to a shared file they access through a link on the internet. Considering the types of virtualization conclude which the company is most likely utilizing. It's so they obtain data, and they post data. I would say that sounds more like resource pooling, so I'm going to run with that. No, it was cloud computing. I should have gone with the first one. Doggone it! Doggone it! Yeah! Oh well. Cloud computing is a service that provides on-demand resources such as server instances, data storage, databases, or applications. The service is typically provided over the internet. Resource pooling is described as the hardware making up the cloud provider's data center is not dedicated or reserved to a particular customer account. Rapid elasticity refers to the cloud being able to scale quickly to meet peak demand. Measured service is described as a cloud service in which the customer pays for the memory disk and the network bandwidth, resources they are actually consuming rather than paying a monthly fee for a particular service level. This is known as a pay-per-use service. This service falls under the cloud computing type of virtualization. Done. Hooray! I did horrible. Look at me go. All right, so now that I've nearly doubled my daily points, so my knowledge goal is awful. All right, we're going to transitioning to certified ethical hacker stuff. Yeah, let me change my dashboard. Let's do some of this. Give me a second, guys. I'm working on getting this stuff up. We should be going over sniffing today, if I remember correctly. It's where are we at? Access my lab environment. That. Let's do this. Okay. Yes, we are still sniffing around. Sniff, sniff here, sniff, sniff there, here, sniff there, sniff everywhere, sniff, sniff. Oh wait, did I? Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I was trying to update the title so it reflects a little bit better what I'm doing. And also, it's kind of like reference for me about what I'm doing. So let's see. Where am I? Nope, not that. Not that. There's, what the frick? Okay, so let me see where we were at. Oh, okay. Analyze the network using the OmniPeak Network Protocol Analyzer. All right. Before we get into this, I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. But I will be back. Whew. All right, here we go. So let's see what we got. Let me shift over here to this. Let's share the screen. Hide. All right. All right, so we're going into analyzing a network. We're sniffing around for stuff. We're doing this ethically, of course, because we're semi-decent people, maybe not, I don't know. Anyways, the whole point of this is we're trying to map out the network by figuring out what it's got. So OmniPeak Network Analyzer provides real-time visibility and expert analysis of each part of the target network. It performs analysis, drills down, and fixes performances bottlenecks across multiple network segments. It includes analytic plugins and provide targeted visualization and search abilities. An ethical hacker or pen tester can use this tool to monitor and analyze network traffic of the target network in real time, identify the source location of the traffic, and attempt to obtain sensitive information as well as find any network loopholes. So before starting this lab, we need to find the user IDs associated with the usernames for the Windows 10 machine. All right, so the Windows 10 machine. Oh, hey, look, it saved my old lab stuff. All right, I'm just going to exit out of that and start up a new Mozilla. Mozilla is highly recommended by my professors. They like it a lot. I use Mozilla a lot. I've used Chrome. I've used Opera. Used what other one? I think there was another one. Oh yeah, Internet Explorer. That is Edge, Microsoft Edge. I'm using Edge right now. But the only one that I've heard with a guarantee on the dark web is Mozilla Firefox is pretty good, and then turning on all your privacy settings and stuff like that. I've never really gone to the dark web, so I don't really know much about that. I've never done it myself. It was just what was recommended to me. All right, So there's also, I think Tor was something that you can use at the same time, but it will slow down your download speeds big time and the upload speeds, I think, because it adds more security, so it slows everything down. All right, moving on. If the website cookie notification appears, click accept. All right. The live action website appears. Apparently there's a 30-day trial. All right. Input your personal details in all required fields. Click the I have. What the frick? Okay, so I'm in live action store. I think this site has been updated since they last wrote this, because I am not seeing any of this. Let's see. Let's try this again. Enter. All right, so we're here. Yeah, see, like, if I don't see how to start your free trial today. Yeah, I think, like, with this stuff, I'm just probably going to skip it because it's kind of like outdated information. So moving on. So you can start and stop captures. Let's see. We got Facebook. Capture all that information of where they went. Cool. Save the reports. Nice. Cool. All right. Pretty much skipping that. Analyze a network using the Steele Central Packet Analyzer. All right. So Steele Central Packet Analyzer provides a graphical console for high-speed packet analysis. It captures terabytes of packet data traversing the network, reads it, and displays it in a GUI. Nice. It can analyze multi-gigabyte recordings from locally presented trace files or on remote Steele Central NetShark probes, physical, virtual, or embedded on Steele heads without a large file transfer to identify anomalous network issues or diagnose and troubleshoot complex network and application performance issues down to the bit level. Here, we use the Steele Central Packet Analyzer tool to analyze a network. All right, let's see if this works. All right, we're here, Mozilla, Riverbed. It's my default browser. Leave me alone, stop harassing me. Remember, it's risky to go to HTTP sites, so try and go to the HTTPS. It's more secure. The Riverbed website appears, displaying trial downloads. Scroll down and click the Steele Central app response. So they've changed their website. Yeah, they don't even have that. All right, well, we're skipping this one too. Cool. All right, lab detect network sniffing. Previous labs demonstrated how an attacker carries out sniffing with different techniques and tools. This lab helps you understand possible defense techniques used to defend a target against sniffing attacks. A professional ethical hacker or pen tester should be able to detect network sniffing in the network. A sniffer on a network only captures data and runs in promiscuous mode. So it is not easy to detect. Promiscuous mode allows a network device to intercept and read each network packet that arrives in its entirety. Sniffer leaves no trace since it does not transmit data. Therefore, to detect sniffing attempts, you must use the various network sniffing detection techniques and tools discussed in this lab. Detect ARP poisoning in a switch-based network. Detect ARP attacks using XARP. And then detect promiscuous mode using Nmap and Metscan tools. Pro. Let's see what is going. What? Whatever. Okay. I gotta go talk to somebody real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so overview of detecting network sniffing. Network sniffing involves using sniffer tools that enable the real-time monitoring and analysis of data packets flowing over computer networks. These network sniffers can be detected by using various techniques such as ping method, identifies if a system of the network is running in promiscuous mode. DNS method identifies sniffers in the network by analyzing the increase in network traffic. ARP method, sending a non-broadcast ARP to all nodes in the network. A node on the network running in promiscuous mode will cache the local ARP address. Task 1. Detect ARP poisoning in a switch-based network. ARP poisoning involves forging many ARP requests and reply packets to overload a switch. ARP cache poisoning is the method of attacking a LAN network by updating the target computer's ARP cache with both forged ARP requests and reply packets designed to change the layer 2 Ethernet MAC address, that of the network card, to one that the attacker can monitor. Attackers use ARP poisoning to sniff on the target network. Attackers can thus steal sensitive information, prevent network and web access, and perform DOS and MITM attacks. The ethical hacker and pen tester must assess the organization or target of evaluation for ARP poisoning vulnerabilities. Here we will detect ARP poisoning in a switch-based network. In this task, we will use the Windows Server 2019 machine as the host machine to perform ARP poisoning, and will sniff traffic flowing between the Windows 10 and parent security machines. Further, we will use the same machine to detect ARP poisoning. Right. Cain and Abel. This thing is pretty good, and it is recommended by my professors. The Cain and Abel main window appear. Click Configure from the menu bar. Let's see. Configure. All right, we're going the sniffer tab is selected by default. Ensure that the adapter associated is selected. Hit OK. Click the Start Stop Sniffer. Oh, sorry guys. Let's see. Click the plus icon. And we're going to scan MAC addresses. All tests. So the APR options appear in the left-hand pane. Click anywhere on the topmost section. In the right-hand pane, activate the plus icon. Topmost section of the right hand. So, new ARP poisoning routing window appears from which we can add IPs to listen to traffic. Okay. Monitor the traffic between the two systems. Here, Windows 10 and paired security. From the left-hand pane, click to select 10.10.10. From the right-hand pane, click 10.10.10.13. Then click OK. And by doing so, you are setting Cain to perform ARP poisoning between the first and second targets. Click to select the created target IP address. Scan that is displayed in the configuration routed packets. Click on the Start Stop to start capturing ARP packets. After clicking on the Start Stop APR, so it's starting. Poisoning is shown. Can enable. Intercepts the traversing traffic. So, okay. You want me to click on this, then hit this, then hit this. Okay. All right, so now we're going to the parrot security. All right. Oh my gosh, here's all the stuff from last time. There's me macking off right there. Freaking macking off. The Mac off. All right, so I'm in my root directory already. So now we're gonna hyperping hping 3. Okay. Heck, C 100,000 times. Wow, look at that. Look at all those pings. There's 100,000 packets for you. Have fun. Navigate to Wireshark. We're going to launch it. So click Edit in the menu bar. What are we editing? Preferences. All right, so we're in the Protocols node. All right. Scroll down on Protocols node, select the ARP. RARP. Okay. From the right-hand pane, click the Detect ARP Request Storms. Ensure that the Detect Duplicate IP Address Configuration checkbox is clicked. Click OK. Now, double-click on the adapter associated network. So we're doing Ethernet. Wireshark begins to capture the traffic. Switch the key enable window to observe packet flows between two machines. I'm really not getting these to go, though. Yeah, there's not really a lot of information on this stuff. Okay. Bummer. I think I screwed up on the can enable aspect of it. So let's do this. All right, we're going to detect ARP tags using XARP. Sometimes I can get these things to work, sometimes I just can't. It's weird. All right, quit without saving. Sure. So XARP is a security application that detects ARP-based attacks. It detects critical network attacks that firewalls cannot cover. It uses advanced techniques to detect ARP attacks like ARP spoofing. This application screens the whole subnet for ARP attacks using different security levels and fine-tuning possibilities. A local network that is subject to ARP attacks inspects every ARP packet and reports attacks against remote machines. Here we'll use the XARP tool to detect ARP attacks in the network. So we got to ensure that ARP poisoning is running for the previous task. That is a good question. I don't think it is. Oh, no, not that one. I think it's still running. It had 100,000 packets that was trying to send out, so just hope I can find it on this. No ARP tags. That is a bummer. So that means My architect didn't work. Let's see. All right, we're going to detect promiscuous mode using Nmap and NetScan Tools Pro. Promiscuous mode allows a network device to intercept and read each network and packet that arrives in its entirety. The sniffer toggles the NIC of a system to promiscuous mode so that it listens to all data transmitted to its segment. A sniffer can constantly monitor all network traffic to a computer through the NIC by decoding the information encapsulated in the data packet. Promiscuous mode in the network can be detected using various tools. Here we'll use the Nmap scripting engine and NetScan Tools Pro to check if a system on a local Ethernet has its network card in promiscuous mode. Ensure that the ARP poisoning is still running from the previous task. Yeah, it's not. Go to Windows 10. Oh, no, not ZenMap. Anything but ZenMap. I don't even think ZenMap's on here. That's not on here. It's weird. All right. So where's my NetScan Tools Pro demo? Let's try this sucker out. I don't really like ZenMap. Just come in there. All right, while that's loading, I'm going to run to the restroom. I'll be right back, guys. All right. Let's try this out. I feel like a lot of times it's just mostly just advertising for different tools. But okay. Demo. NetScan Pro's tool main window appears in left hand. No, did it? Okay. Manual tools. Continue. There you go. Move on with my life now. Start the demo, dude. Stop giving me spam and pops. Like, I feel like if the application already gives me spams and pop-ups, like, it's already frustrating. Like, this thing has a ton of stuff, though. I have used it before. I think it was for scanning or something. I don't remember what it was exactly. Okay. What the frick? All right. Oh, I hit. I was going through the blacklist. Oh my gosh. I accidentally hit the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. This makes a lot more sense. I was like, why isn't this set up like... screw this. All right, do a scan. Cool. Yes. That closed. Oh, wrong one. Why doesn't it say completed? Oh my gosh, did it again. What is this? Mod view? What the frick? What the frick? What the frick? All right. So we're looking at that, getting it all checked. I don't know why it didn't check it all. I saved it and I checked it all. Apparently, like, it's unchecked. Save. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to social engineering. So a lot of times when they talk about social engineering, usually it's about talking to people about certain things, trying to figure out how a network's set up, passwords, usernames. You go to the bar and get somebody a little drunk, and then they start talking about work and how it sucks. And then next thing you know, you've got information. Or you dress up as a pizza delivery guy and try to go through a system that has card entry access based on like, oh, like I'm trying to hold this pizza, don't want to drop it. Stuff like that. I don't know how they're going to put it into a lab though, because, you know, maybe it's going to be like some acting or something. I don't know. But yeah, social engineering goes along the lines of like what you would expect a spy to do, to pretend there's somebody they're not, and then try and get information. So there's that. All right. So social engineering. Organizations fall victim to social engineering tactics despite having strong security policies and solutions in place. This is because social engineering exploits the most vulnerable link in information system security: employees. Cyber criminals are increasingly using social engineering techniques to target people's weaknesses or play on their good natures. Social engineering can take many forms, including phishing emails, fake sites, and impersonation. If the features of these techniques make them an art, the psychological insights that inform them make them a science. While non-existent or inadequate defense mechanisms in an organization can encourage attackers to use various social engineering techniques to target its employees, bottom line is that there is no technological defense against social engineering. Organizations must educate employees on how to recognize and respond to these attacks, but only constant vigilance will minimize attackers' chances of success. As an expert ethical hacker and penetration tester, you need to assess the preparedness of your organization or the target of evaluation against social engineering attacks. It is important to note, however, that social engineering primarily requires soft skills. The labs in this module, therefore, demonstrate several techniques that facilitate or automate certain facets of social engineering attacks. The object of the lab is to use social engineering and related techniques to sniff user employee credentials such as employee IDs, names, and email addresses, obtain employees' basic personal details and organizational information, obtain usernames and passwords, perform phishing, detect phishing. Overview of social engineering. Social engineering is the art of manipulating people to divulge sensitive information that will be used to perform some kind of malicious action. Because social engineering targets human weaknesses, even organizations with strong security policies are vulnerable to being compromised by attackers. The impact of social engineering attacks on organizations can include economic losses, damage to goodwill, loss of privacy, risk of terrorism, lawsuits in arbitration, and temporary or permanent closure. There are many ways in which companies may be vulnerable to social engineering attacks. These include insufficient security training, unregulated access to information, and organizational structure consisting of several units, non-existent or lacking security policies. All right, there we go. Let's see. So our lab tasks are: ethical hackers or penetration testers use numerous tools and techniques to perform social engineering tests. The recommended labs that will assist you in learning various social engineering techniques are: perform social engineering using various techniques, sniff credentials using the social engineer toolkit, perform phishing using smell phishing, shellfish, detecting a phishing attack, detect phishing using Netcraft, detect phishing using PhishTank, audit organizations security for phishing attacks, audit organization security for phishing attacks using OPHISH. Perform social engineering using various techniques. As a professional ethical hacker or penetration tester, you should use various social engineering techniques to examine the security of an organization and the awareness of employees. In a social engineering test, you should try to trick the user into disclosing personal information such as credit card numbers, bank account details, telephone numbers, or confidential information about their organization or computer system. In the real world, attackers would use these details either to commit fraud or to launch further attacks on the target system. Sniff credentials using the social engineer toolkit. Perform phishing using shellfish. Overview of social engineering techniques. There are 3 types of social engineering attacks: human, computer, and mobile-based. Human-based social engineering uses interaction to gather sensitive information. You're pretending to be the boss, the CEO, the employee that needs help, and you're talking with IT support or whoever, and you're saying, you know, you don't remember your password. Vishing and eavesdropping. Computer-based social engineering uses computers to extract sensitive information. Employee techniques such as phishing, spamming, and instant messaging. Mobile-based social engineering uses mobile applications to obtain information, employing techniques such as publishing malicious apps, repackaging legitimate apps, using fake security applications, and smishing. Sniff credentials using the social engineer toolkit. The Social Engineer Toolkit is an open source Python-driven tool aimed at penetration testing via social engineering. SET is particularly useful to attackers because it is freely available. It can be used to carry out a range of attacks. For example, it allows attackers to draft email messages, attach malicious files, and send them to a large number of people using spear phishing. Moreover, SET's multi-attack method allows Java applets, Metasploit browser, and credential harvester tab nabbing to be used simultaneously. SET categorizes attacks according to the attack vector and use such as email, web, and USB. Although many kinds of attacks can be carried out using SET, it is also a must-have tool for penetration testers to check for vulnerabilities. For this reason, SET is the standard for social engineering penetration tests and is strongly supported within the security community. As an ethical hacker, penetration tester, or security administrator, you should be familiar with SET and be able to use it to perform various tests for network vulnerabilities. All right. So Parrot is part of Linux. All right. Control-Alt-T. Okay, well, I'm just going to do that then. Fine, be that way. So this command brings you up to the root login. Then I put in the password. Obviously, you can't see what the password is, but it is stated right here. It's not going to be visible when you type it. So, oops, we want to go to the tilde, which is the home for root Parrot. All right. So now they want us to go to right. So now we're in the set toolkit folder. They want us to type toolkit center. What? Oh, frick. There we go. That should work now. Ta-da! Follow them on Twitter. All right. So on the set menu appears as shown in the screenshot. Type 1 and press enter. All right. To choose social engineering attacks. The list of options for social engineering attacks appear. Type 2. Press enter. We're doing website attack vectors here. Oh, it is lunchtime. I'm going to see if I can try and get through all this. All right, so we've got a list of options of website attack vectors appears. We're going to do 3, credential harvester. All right, and then next we're going to hit Site Cloner. So it's going to clone a website for us. Type the IP address of our local machine, which is 10.10.10.13. Enter the URL to clone. Apparently we're cloning Movie Scope. Never been to it. You can clone any URL of your choice. I understand that. Having successfully cloned a website, you must now send the IP address of your paired security machine to a victim and try to trick him or her into clicking the link. This could take a little bit. Yeah. They're okay with it as is, so I guess I'm gonna just do the Firefox thing. Okay, and so I'm not gonna log into my email account. Kicks in. After logging into your email account, click the compose button. Yep, insert the link, edit link. So what you do is you put your actual address, and then text that will be displayed in messages, HTTP, movie scope, click OK. Fake URL should appear in the message body as shown in the screenshot below. And boom, there you go. You can lie to people. All right, moving on. Let's see what else we got. Oh, it's going to make me click onto it. Okay. And then they'll put their user login. And then on my terminal, it'll show up and it'll give me username and a password. Cool. Cool. All right. Cool. I have got to go get some food. I will see you guys later. Have a great day. Yep.